Well, good morning, everybody. Excuse me, I'm doing this update a day earlier because I'm going to find it easier, especially as the better weather comes on, to do my updates on a Monday rather than a Tuesday. Excuse me, still got this irritating cough, but it is getting better, so that's good. So numbers first. This week I've lost another 1.5 kgs, which is what, probably £4, around £4. God knows how I managed that. Especially as I'm weighing in a day early. So whether I made a mistake last week when I weighed, or I don't know, I don't think so, but I definitely hopped on there twice and double checked this morning. So that's really good. I'm well on my way to reaching my first sort of major goal, which is the halfway mark of 15 kgs. So that's really good. What's happened this week? Well, we're still getting on with the green dinners. I'm not going to insert any pictures of them today because as you know, I've had sort of technology issues, shall we say, and I'm back on my original tablet now this morning. I ended up wiping everything off it, completely putting it back to factory settings, and so far, so good. But, you know, of course, I lost a lot of photos. I mean, I backed up quite a few photos, but I did lose some, and, and some of those were the pictures of the meals, so that's fine. Overall, I've had a good week. I had a good week up until Saturday, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But yeah, it's been really good. The weather is improved dramatically here. Apart from this morning, it's a little bit dull, miserable, and there was a little bit of spit in the rain when I left the house this morning. The other thing is I had to go back to the doctor last week for just a follow-up on my blood results, and there's all good news there. I'm not pre-diabetic anymore, so I've turned that around in this is 10 weeks, so, it was about 9 or 10 weeks then. Also, she said that although I've still got fat around my liver, she said, but that's to be expected, and gradually that will go as well. And my cholesterol's still a little high. It's within the normal range, but it's on the higher side of the normal range. So she said she's not too worried about any of that because I told her all about, the vegan diet, etc. And she said that's fine. The one thing she did say regarding the vegan diet, she said it's a good diet. It's nothing wrong with the diet. She said, but somebody your age, you've got to be very careful of osteoporosis, brittle bones. And she said, I wouldn't recommend, cutting out all the dairy. And I explained to her that although I am vegan, I'm only part-time vegan and I'm full-time sugar-free, as my total says. So I told her I do have dairy. I have my bowl of porridge or whatever, cereal with milk in the mornings, all right, half fat. And, I do have cheese. I do have yogurt, especially, we make our own yogurt. My husband makes his own yogurt and it's really nice. Sorry, I just realised I'm all windswept. That's from being out just now. So, I'm not completely cutting out calcium and stuff like that. And she said, well, that's a good way. It's the vegan diet's fantastic. But, just watch the calcium intake. So try not to drop the calcium. And the other thing she informed me of was she said, so I'm going to prescribe you some vitamin D to get you all ready for surgery. And I went, what? No one's told me about surgery. And, because I haven't had I haven't seen the gastroenterologist yet. I don't go to the 25th of this month. I've got the appointment and everything. And she said, oh, well, she said, I'm, more or less, I can guarantee now that you will be having the surgery. She said, because most of my patients that I do referrals to with this issue usually end up having surgery. She said, it's not a biggie surgery. It'll be a minor surgery. So it will either be, they can either deal with it, down through my throat and put a clip there to stop the stomach protruding up through the diaphragm anymore, or they go in with what I call keyhole surgery. I used to call it that when it first came out, and they just sort of pull your stomach down and stick a little stitch in to keep it down. So either one of those two is fine. So that's great. She said, you'll be in and out, recovery's very, very quick and it won't be a problem. So, so that's fine. I got no worries. I'm not concerned about it. Get it done. Hopefully I'll be able to stop taking the omeprazole, which I take for the acid reflux, and then I'm pill free. Apart from I do take a glucosamine for my joints and that, because I'm getting up there in age. So anyway, so yes, so that's all good. Excuse me. So like I say, good week up till Saturday. Now I'm going to tell you a story now, and I feel that I want to share this story with you because I want to get it off my chest. So about 10 months ago, we adopted a dog called Buddy. As you know, I've got 3 dogs. We got my old boy Fred passed away, not last Christmas before, I believe it was. And we decided that after a bit of time that we'd get another dog. So I've got Ruby and Penny are the girls, and I thought another male dog. So I ended up taking this dog from a couple. They advertised on our local site, and they were desperate to find him a new home. They said he just didn't fit in with their lifestyle anymore, that he has had, he's a bit of a reactive dog, and, I was aware of that. So they said, other than that, he's wonderful. He's good with they had young children and they trusted him around there. So that was fine. So cut a long story short, we went and met them off the property here. The deciding factor was whether he got along with my 2 girls. We met in the park. No problems at all. The girls were fine. He was fine. So we took him there and then. We brought him home. We showed them where he was. They were perfectly happy, and we had him here. And he had his issues. He had some problems with some feet issues, which I was working on. He did have a go at Ruby a couple of times, but only because Ruby was trying to dig up the bone that he'd buried. So it was his bone, and he was telling her, that's my bone. Twice he had a little go at her about that. But overall, everything was fine. He was a beautiful boy. I really loved it. I love all my dogs. So, and basically it's taken me this long to really talk about it because I was so upset. So anyway, we had the opportunity, my husband and I had the opportunity to go away for the weekend. Just one night, my husband had to go down to South and do something regarding a course, final stages of a course that he was doing. And I decided to go with him because my son was staying here at the time, and my son offered to look after the dogs. So that was great. So off we went. Everything was hunky-dory. Anyway, on our way back, the next day on our way back from where we went, we received a phone call from my son to say that Buddy has got out of the property and has attacked the neighbour's dog. So I went, oh my God. Anyway, the neighbours were here at the time, confronting my son about that. My son doesn't like confrontation, and he was really worried. So he gave the phone to them, and she told me that apparently Buddy had wandered over along with Penny, and Penny's a 4.5 kilo spit of nothing, had wandered off our property. Now, bearing in mind, our property is double fenced, but it is the horizontal fence, and the gate was closed to the drive. But Penny can fit through the fence. So I think what happened, Penny had decided to go and find John, because Penny's very attached to my husband. And I think Buddy just he did follow Penny around a lot. We noticed that. And I think he just followed her. And I think he pushed his way through the fence, and they were wandering around out the front. Penny may well have heard a car and thought it was us coming home and decided to investigate. Who knows? But unfortunately, my son was here on the sofa, busy. He runs his own business, online. And so he was checking stuff on his phone. And of course, it's easy done. He took his eye off the ball. The door was open. The dogs wandered off. I don't blame him. It could have happened to me. The door is often open in the summer or this time of the year, and the dogs can, they got free access to outside. So anyway, apparently Buddy went over and attacked their dog. So that's fine. Now I'm trying to placate this lady on the phone on the way home. This is the first I've heard of it. I'm traveling home from, Anyway, she was quite upset, understandably. I would have been extremely upset as well. And I said to her, look, I'm on my way home. I will come and see you. As soon as I get home, I'll come and see you and we'll talk about it and we'll sort something out. And then, that was that. And then I phoned her back again to ask, how her dog was. And she said, oh, he's gone to the vets and we don't know. And I said, look, I'm really sorry. I said, I will pay for, any vet treatment that your dog has to have. That's the least we can do. And, and I'm very sorry and we'll deal with the situation when we come home. And she just said, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And I said to her, well, what would you like me to do? What would you like me to do in order to put this right? And she just said, I would like you and your family and your dogs to emigrate to Australia. So I said to her, well, I think that's a little bit extreme, don't you? And she's, no, I don't. And she put the phone down on me. So that was an indication of there and then. So anyway, we got back, and of course I was upset and I phoned again because I thought, I'm not going to let this go. I said to her, once again, I'm really sorry. How is your dog? And she was most upset. So I thought, what can I do? So I felt at the time, the only way that I could possibly placate them was to have Buddy put down. Because I could see, we live here, they're right across the road from us, and we see them regularly. He's got land all around here and he's regularly going up and down to his land. I thought he is never going to be happy seeing me walk Buddy around the property anymore. So we had Buddy put down the very next day, and wrongly or rightly, it was a decision we made, and we felt that we couldn't have Buddy readopted because we felt we were handing the issue to somebody else if he had reactive issues like that he didn't show any signs of for several months up until that point. So, judge me if you will, but at the time it felt the right decision. So I phoned them up and I explained, we've had the dog put down. I'm sorry. Once again, I can't say how many times I offered to pay for the treatment. They declined every time. And, I apologised profusely. And, as far as I was concerned, I couldn't do anything else. Now, since then, we've readopted another dog called Dexter. There was a thing in between all that, but I don't really want to talk about that. But we have adopted another dog, Dexter. We made sure 100% that this dog is a social, happy, go lucky dog. And he is. We got him from a rescue organisation that assured us that he got on, he passed all his checks, and he's a fantastic dog. He's absolutely nothing wrong with him. Meanwhile, a few months ago, my husband was out walking the dogs down towards the river, which is a paper road, which is like not a public, well, it's a public highway, but it doesn't lead anywhere, it just leads down to the river. This particular person across the road came around with his car, and because Buddy sort of walked behind his car and went up behind his car when he was at his gate to go in his property, he started to verbally abuse my husband regarding Dexter being behind his car. And he actually pushed his car in reverse and tried to reverse over him. So my husband didn't say anything, didn't react, because we find with people like that, if you react, it just makes the situation worse. So my husband come home and we decided to report it to the police because we thought that is dangerous. You were being dangerous. So we reported it to the police and that was fine. And we told them we just want it kept on record because if there are any more issues. This bloke has not spoken to us. So I have nothing to do. I've tried to wave to him prior to all this. And we've had 4 occasions where I've actually tried to wave him down on his bike or his car as he's passing to try and say, look, we've done what we can. There's no need for this behaviour. But to no avail. So anyway, that was that incident. Then a few weeks or months later, there was another incident with me. I was stood on the end of my driveway, actually on my driveway. He came out of his gate opposite, and because he saw me, he wasn't looking at the road. It's only a narrow gravel road. He pulled out of his driveway, and there was a car coming the other way, and it's only a one lane road. And he realised he'd done a mistake, and he, instead of just sort of stopping or whatever, he actually shot across the front of this car, across the front of me onto my driveway at speed to get out of the way of this car. He literally missed Ruby by inches because she was right there with me. And he had a massive boat on the back of this car. I mean, his car's 2 ton, his boat must have been 2 ton. Me and the dogs wouldn't have stood a chance. If I had been just a couple more feet forward, he would have taken me out along with one of the dogs. And he went so fast that when he went down the grass, the boat was bouncing quite violently on the back of the car. I actually thought the boat was going to come off the trailer. And I secretly hoped it would. I know I shouldn't say that. But anyway, we reported that incident to the police as well. And at that point, the police said, look, do you want us to go around and have a word with him? And the police said, bearing in mind it can make the situation worse for you. And we said, no, we don't want you to go around there. We want you just to keep this on record so that if there is a more serious incident, then we've got a record. So that was that. And everything's been tickety-boo for several months. No problems. We thought he's gotten over it. That's fine, until Saturday. My husband's walking along the grass verge towards our property. He come up around the road. He saw my husband and he literally targeted him. He passed his driveway, right? So, he's gone past his driveway. He's heading towards my husband. Now, Dexter's behind my husband sniffing in the hedge. My husband turned around to see where he was going, and he does have land up there. He has got a property up there, which is just grass and land, and he's got a few sheep in there. Dexter was just sniffing around, it's 6-foot fencing. Dexter was just sniffing around the base of the wire fencing. Can't get through because it's only it's what they call deer fencing here, so it's just, fencing like that with the squares. And Dexter's just sniffing around because he likes to try and catch the mice that are in the long grass. He does it all the time. And he was nowhere near the entrance or trying to dig in his property or anything like that. He went up, he verbally abused the dog and was shouting and was driving up really fast towards the dog in an aggressive manner. So my husband sort of panicked. He always takes his phone now because we're trying to record it. Because by the time he got his phone organised, he had turned around. Dexter got really scared and ran back to John, because this bloke was having a go at him, and he just ran back to John, and John had him there. And he shot past my husband at ridiculous speed. I mean, this is a gravel road. He's in a large vehicle. And he is just not being responsible for a man his age, same age as me probably. It's ridiculous. So that was a deliberate targeting there. You could actually see deliberately targeted my husband, or my husband said you could actually see he was targeting me. So once again, he's reported it to the police, and he's actually going down now to, we want action, because this is not on. This is deliberate targeting, deliberate bullying, and for an incident that happened nearly a year ago. And as far as we were concerned, we did all the right things. Maybe he doesn't think we did the right things. I can't tell you how many times I offered to pay for the treatment. I can't tell you how many times I said I was sorry for what happened. I said I don't have an excuse. The excuse was we thought the dog was fine. We never had no issues with it. Obviously it wasn't, and I'm sorry, But you can't keep harbouring these kinds of bitterness, especially towards your neighbours, I mean, my dogs don't bark. They don't wander off, normally, never. I've lived here 5 years, and I'm actually telling a lie. Ruby wandered off once down to the neighbour. She really likes my nice neighbour, and she went down there to visit him one day. And I went and got her and I gave her a massive telling off, and she's never done it since. And that was a couple of years ago. You know, she just went down to say hello to him. She walked down through the paddocks, the gate was open. So, you know, she's never done it since. So my dogs don't wander off. They're not constantly barking. My dogs never bark. The only time they bark is if some stranger comes onto the driveway, which is what I want, you know, for security. Even when I'm not here, I know they're not barking. They're just not, you know, and it's like, what is your issue? Why are you being like this to us? And I really, really have had enough. So we're going to report it to the police. And I'm sorry I'm talking about this on my, what I call my weight loss blog, but I need to get it off my chest. And it does affect my mood, but it's not affected my mood where I'm going to go and stuff a bar of chocolate in my mouth, because I've said to my husband, don't let it affect you. He's a sad person and he's the one with the issue, not us. You know, we're all good, the dogs are all good, and everything's fine. It's just his problem, and now we've involved the police, and hopefully they can tell him to stay away from us and to avoid us. You know, at the end of the day, he runs a business around here, and he's got staff members that come and go up and down, you know, back and forth each day. I walk my dogs now very early in the morning, way before his staff arrive. I've altered my habits to suit him and to keep out of his way. So I walk my dogs very early, and I walk them in the evening, usually when my husband comes home, because we walk them together, way past his staff has left the area, you know, so I don't have to deal with them. And his staff are just as bad, so he's obviously had something to say to his staff, apart from a couple of them. Some of the older people that come, they'll wave, and, you know, that's fine, but some of the younger staff members are quite aggressive as well with their vehicles, because they're up and down the road with quad bikes and various vehicles, various times through the day, and I don't venture out on the road with the dogs to keep away from them. So I think that's what I'm going to do in future, just try and stay out of his way, not let him affect me. He's just insignificant, sad, miserable, angry person, because he has had other issues with neighbours around here that, you know, we've been told that he's got anger management issues. Police have been called for him before because he's been and had a go at one of the other neighbours. And when we were talking, he used to complain to me all the time about various neighbours, what they've done and how they've affected him, and he's, you know, the big man around here. And so yeah, he's obviously got an inflated opinion of himself, and you don't need people like that in your life. You don't need people like that to bother you. So he's not going to bother me anymore. Done with you. Anyway, I feel better now I've got that off my chest. I feel I'm open and honest, I'm in the public, and it's done, you know. Obviously it's from my perspective. He's probably got a different perspective, that's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, you don't target people with your car. That I don't stand a chance. If he wants to come over and talk to me and we have it out, that's fine. But I can't argue with your car. You know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, that's enough of that. So, good week. I hope everybody enjoys their day, evening, nighttime, whatever time it is in your part of the world. Thank you for watching. And if you really didn't want me to ramble on like this, I'm sorry. You know, I just needed to get it off my chest. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Please like or dislike and subscribe. See you later.